Well, Christmas is synonymous with lots of things, isn't it? Dodgy shirts, I've got that one covered, and also a nice festive drink. And our guest in the studio now has got that one covered. Mike Dalton, Dry by Choice from Shrewsbury. Welcome to the studio.
Hi, Carl.
Tell us a bit about you, the business, and how it's all going.
Sure. So we started a few months ago and opened our shop 2 months ago, and it's basically it's an interest that I've been into that's culminated in being a business. I had a health scare about 3 years ago, and because of that, I don't know, kind of reevaluated my lifestyle and my drinking. Started to get into non-alcoholic beers, and then it just really took off from there. We saw a premises that became available on Wild Cop, our favourite independent stretch of shops. Moved in there, and yeah, so far so good.
That's how long have you been in for and trading?
2 months. So early October we moved in. So yeah, and obviously the run up to Christmas, we're starting to get busier.
And the range of non-alcoholic beers has really taken off, hasn't it, over the last few years? You know, it's become a massive. It used to be a curiosity, didn't it? But now it's a genuine just lifestyle choice.
That's right. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the bad old days of Caliber being about the only thing on the shelves that you could buy. But yeah, and as I said, as I got into it, the more and more I realised that, you know, you didn't have to make do with just a Heineken or a Beck's Blue. There was so many other craft brewers out there who were producing a really, really good product.
As you say, these craft brewers now, I mean, some of them, they're not even thinking about doing alcoholic in the first place. They're going straight to non-alcoholic versions because they know how popular it is and what a growing sector it is as well.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of the brewers who produce ordinary alcoholic beer and do non-alcoholic as a sideline. But you're absolutely right. There's at least a dozen of them that are purely doing non-alcoholic beer. And ironically, even the ones who are doing the full strength beers, their non-alcoholic variants are selling really, really well. The Clear Head in front of us, that's actually in can form. That's the biggest seller that Bristol Beer Factory brew at the moment.
And that's a really nice one, I can tell you that, Carl, because that's one I have.
This is a very citrusy one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's 0.5%, so it's alcohol free. It's certainly, in terms of drinking and driving.
Oh, absolutely.
Fine,
we've got this oddity within the UK, which I don't believe they have anywhere else in the world, where it's not low alcoholic, it's non-alcoholic. So basically 0.5 would be the same amount of alcohol that you'd find in a ripe banana. So you'd have to drink gallons and gallons of it. It very, very, very quickly for it to take any effect whatsoever. So yeah, safe for anybody.
Are you finding that you're having to educate customers about this whole world, this whole marketplace that exists then?
Yeah, it's kind of split between two types. I mean, people who've already tried it and want to experiment and try different ones, and then people who've never tried it but are genuinely curious. What we generally try to do in the shop is we've got a couple of the beers on draft. So that's always good, and that always helps with sales, because once people try it, invariably they'll realise, it isn't Caliber. So they'll actually make a purchase on the back of it.
What's the biggest challenge then in terms of getting this business up and running and going then over the next few years?
I think it's that conversion issue, that whilst there's a sizable minority of people who are already into these kind of products, there's still a proportion of people who wouldn't even think about trying it. And that's partly because what they have tried, maybe from the supermarkets or in bars, just isn't up to the standard that you'd want it to be. So again, the big brands, the Heinekens, the Becks, they don't really take the amount of time and effort into it that these craft brewers do.
And it's not just about beer though, is it? Because you're also selling spirits and wines as well.
Yeah, that's right. So when we opened, we thought, probably naively, that all we would do is craft beers. But very quickly, almost from day one, customers were telling us that they wanted more. They wanted wine, sparkling wine, they wanted spirits. So we've expanded into that market as well.
So are you reacting then to what
Please
reacting then to how customers are telling you and what they might want or what they've tried somewhere else?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a new business for us. So, I'm a firm believer that obviously you've got to listen to your customers. And over and above the wines and the spirits, we've also had customers telling us about certain beers they've tried. And we'll follow that up, and where we can, we'll try and contact wholesalers, the brewers direct, and try and get those products in.
And something like Dry January, which obviously comes after Christmas, do you think that's going to be a big thing for you? Maybe more people sampling what you're doing?
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, it's the ideal time. A lot of people looking to detox or or reevaluating their lifestyle. So yeah, Dry January, I would hope, will be a good selling season for us.
And the amount of people I know that maybe try dry January and then carry on afterwards, I mean, I'm certainly drinking less alcohol than I did, and more, as you say, it's a lifestyle choice for some people.
It is, and I think increasingly, as well as people who are completely off booze, there's a lot of people who are choosing it, choosing to moderate, let's say, rather than completely abstain. I mean, I'm certainly one of those. I'll still enjoy a drink occasionally, but I'll now 50% of the time I'll opt for something that's non-alcoholic.
That's lovely and sharp. That is. It's really nice and crisp.
Cheers.
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 Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
How do you choose what you stock then? In terms of, is it seasonal? Is a lot of the produce seasonal? Is it?
Yeah, we try to. So for at the moment, for example, we're selling a lot of stouts. So I brought the chocolate porter along with us. So stouts, obviously, in the winter. The better the weather, you can imagine the lagers, the pale ales, that kind of thing. The other thing that I notice is that customers are really attracted to the marketing and the branding of the beers, and obviously because they're small craft brewers, they do tend to make more of an effort with their branding. So you come into the shop and it's a really colourful, interesting shop to visit.
But I mean, that is quite a serious part of it, isn't it? In terms of helping this market to take off, it's got to look like it is competing on a level playing field with the alcoholic beers that have been a staple for generations. You can't afford not to look like it belongs, can you?
Yeah, they need to look. The product needs to look and certainly needs to taste professional. So the craft brewers really do make an effort in that.
Are you unique in terms of what you're doing in this area then?
I'm sure somebody will say no, but I think certainly we are regionally. There is a place that's very recently actually just opened up in London, which is like us, a bottle shop. But it's also got a bar attached, and that bar sells only non-alcoholic beers, wines and spirits and cocktails. So, well, certainly regionally we're the only one of our type, possibly in the UK, but who knows?
That's really good. Are you finding any problems at the moment with getting stock in? Because I was reading a story today about another retailer in Shrewsbury, and they're really struggling at the moment.
It is. It's proving to be a real issue at the moment, and obviously we're trying to stock up for Christmas, trying to stock up for people buying gifts, etc. Because we're new, we're a bit new to the amount that we need to order, the seasonality and how much product we need to get in. But I am noticing that couriers, carrier firms are struggling to keep up with certainly with our orders, and I suspect other orders as well.
Yeah, it's becoming a real problem, isn't it, really, Carl, this time of year?
It is, yeah. I mean,
at the moment.
And because it's goods coming in, and it's also goods going out, isn't it? In terms of, I mean, do you get involved much in mail order? And
we're doing some mail order. The majority at the moment of our sales are in store. We do a little bit of trade. We do a couple of restaurants in Shrewsbury, but then we also do free local delivery within Shrewsbury and the immediate area. So in a way, we can bypass the carriers, and as long as my wife doesn't mind driving around in the evening, we're fine.
Is that quite popular now, then, having it delivered to home?
Yeah, very much so, and people find it really convenient, because of course what you don't want to be doing is walking up and down the cop with 12 bottles of beer clinking in your bag.
What's the big dream then for the business? Where would you like to go? You mentioned another company that's turned this into a bar, and is this something that you can franchise out? Is it something you'd look to expand? What would you like to do next?
Sure, I think the bar idea is definitely one that we would consider. I think I don't think I'd want to jump full head into a bar, but I think setting up a little bit of a taster, let's say, so people can come in, try samples of beer, and possibly buy the bottles, buy the cans. Longer term, to be honest with you, Carl, take it month by month, year by year. At the moment, at least, I just want to establish it as a business. Our big competitors are obviously the supermarkets, but also there's a couple of big online players. I think we'd like to get more onto the online platform than we do at the moment. But for the moment, at least, we really want to concentrate on the shop.
Are there any Shropshire producers that you stock on? There's not too many, is there?
No, sadly not. The main Shropshire brewers, and I contacted most of them several months ago when we started the business, they're not currently doing non-alcoholic beer. Hobson's import some Polish non-alcoholic beers, so we actually stock those at the moment. So hopefully, though, in time, because there's so many people now wanting these kind of products, hopefully in time they will. I'd love to be drinking a Shropshire Oracle 0.5% at some point in the future.
Nice. Yeah.
And I imagine, in the meantime, just great fun tasting lots of beers to decide what you want to stock. Is that how it works?
Yes, it is. I have to take them home in the evening, and of course I can't be told off, and I don't wake up with a fuzzy head after trying.
Absolutely, it sounds like great fun. So, So far so good. Is that how you'd sum up the business, and you're pleased with how it's been received?
Yeah, I'm not naive. I mean, obviously Christmas is busy for any retail establishment. I think the key will be when we get into January, particularly February, March, and then, gearing up for the summer. But I think what I'm going to have to do is obviously change our product range around. We talked about, different types of seasonal products and just expanding the range, giving people what they want.
So just remind us then, whereabouts are you?
64 Wild Cop. So we're ironically we're almost opposite the Tanner's bottle shop. So yeah, and just a little bit down from Reeking Whiskies.
Brilliant.
Excellent. It's an absolute drinker's paradise, isn't it? There, whatever you want. So, and thank you for bringing in some samples. It means we can have a drink in the studio anytime without feeling guilty.
Definitely
Cheers.
can.
Merry
Cheers.
Christmas,
Cheers.
folks.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.